system of cells interlinked within cells, 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 interlinked.
Hello and welcome to the Refundables. This week we have a special guest, Brolaire. Hello, Brolaire.
Hey. Hello.
An Irish games journalist.
Please don't hold that against me. Please.
No, we'll definitely hold that against you.
I'm one of the good ones.
Don't worry about that.
No, I'm the good one.
This is going to be a lost episode.
And of course we have Peppy here too to tell us what Dead Cells actually is.
Dead Cells is I'd say it's a roguelike Metroidvania, as the kids say.
Yeah, it's basically like all the other indie games. It's a pixelated Metroidvania, and they threw in roguelike because, why not?
Popular with the streamers. Roguelikes are always popular with the streamers.
It even has a special streamer mode.
Oh yeah, I didn't even try that.
I don't know what it does.
I'm assuming it's audience votes or something. A lot of games are putting that in these days.
But aside from that, the first thing I want to say about Dead Cells is that the main character... Now, luckily, there's not too much writing, because the main character is clearly like a Sonic fan fiction self-insert. Mid-2000s always has like a quippy line for everything.
They also hate the fourth wall. There's a part where your man is like looking at a grindstone for like when you get past the first boss. Your man goes over to the grindstone, and if you touch it, he's like, "Oh, how does this let me upgrade my grenades? This is just lazy game design."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I noticed a bunch of that, and just a bunch of really poor jokes.
Also, I don't think that those jokes even matter. Like, I found a few where like, oh, it's a mouse hole, and then there's a secret area you can roll by. It's like, oh, there's a passage here, maybe. But those were added, I think, later. The first time I played it was like a year ago, and there was nothing like that. You were just a silent protagonist, pretty much, because you're like a weird, I don't know what you are even. You're a weird goo thing, yeah.
You're a clump of cells. You're a clump of dead cells.
Ah, you're a clump.
Oh, that's where they got the name.
You're a clump of dead incels.
Oh, is this a quest to unlock your virginity, or?
No, this is like one of those old like grim stories that they're actually about, like, the big bad wolf is actually being a teenager or something.
An allegory. I mean, he is trying to open a big fuck off door.
yeah. That fuck off door is having sex with somebody.
The door to sex. But as far as the mechanics go, it's pretty standard Metroidvania. You have a big map, and then you run around, and you always start in your prison quarters. But I did like that there's multiple routes.
Isn't it? I thought it was more randomized than you could go to multiple paths.
Oh, okay.
Unless I'm just missing the door every time.
Oh no, you can go to multiple paths. If you explore the whole area, you'll find the doors to the different areas, and you can pick your own route.
This is fantastic.
Now, you do have to do the boss, because you'll get an ability after that to get past it.
That makes sense, but that means I can just avoid the sewer at all costs, because I hate that place. The scorpions that like pop out of the ground and shoot. Oh
yeah, the ancient sewers, you only have to do them once.
Oh yeah, you mean the ability bosses? Yeah, you only just get those once, and then you get the ability forever, even if you die.
Yeah, I hate the toxic sewers. So after the first time, I just go to the promenade of the condemned instead.
Yeah, the sewers are pretty bad, but that's every sewer level. There's no good sewer level.
Yeah, but also sadly, I think like the design and feel of the game isn't very unique in the indie Metroidvania landscape.
I think you're right, but I think where it shines is the weapons and how fluid it is, how fluid it plays. The mutations they added and the unwalks. Like you can decide what you want to unwalk. It's not like random, like Gungeon, for example, or Binding of Isaac, where you do a bunch of shit and you unwalk something. You got a bunch of recipes when you go to the shop and you get like I think it sells.
Yep, it sells. Like the mutations are good, but they're still random in and of themselves, because a lot of them are random pickups from elite bosses or mobs or something like that. Like, it'll take a long ass time before you even have access to all this stuff.
You have the three main stats: the brutality, there's the tactics, and the survival. Red, purple, green. And once in a while you'll find a scroll that can upgrade one of these. You can't always pick all three of them. Sometimes it's like, oh, you can only pick between brutality or tactics and survival. And they give you health bonus and like an innate stat. Like the survival just gives you damage with survival weapons, because every weapon is color-coded according to what stat they use, and they boost the damage for that weapon type.
Like, the fact that the weapons are color-coded and the fact that your mutations and stuff are color-coded, and you actually, when you pick up your scrolls, you get to pick what mutation you want to upgrade, it's quite easy to have a fairly decent build. The random element is still there, but it's easy to have that cohesion in your build.
Yeah, well, in any roguelike, you want to lower the RNG as much as possible. That's your goal.
That's what I liked, actually. The complaint I had about Enter the Gungeon, how there's no way that there's no real progression aside from you yourself getting better at the game. Here, there is a progression system. You know, you get every run, your cells spent on unlocks stay. So, you know, the longer you play, the more unlocks you have from the start of the game.
Oh yeah, I appreciate the hell out of that. Like, I'm a sucker for progression systems and stuff like that. And having the realization that even if you lose, like, just as you get to the boss, you know that you've already spent a load of cells and stuff, and you know that this isn't an entirely wasted run. It isn't just wasting 20 minutes of your time. You've actually made some sort of headway.
There's some progression. There's a carrot at the end of the stick.
You can also upgrade your, like, what you keep when you die.
Oh yeah, you keep more money.
Oh yeah, your gold sack.
Yeah, your gold sack. Which at the start you start with like no gold, and then you get
basically fucking nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, and now I like every game I start with 15,000 gold because I got everything maxed.
And also in between levels, you get your health back, which is nice.
Yeah, you get your health back from the giant potion stack. You do have like little healing potions, like little Estus flasks throughout the level that you can upgrade.
Yeah, that's the first upgrade you want. It's like,
oh god, yeah.
Between every zone transition, there's a chamber basically with 3 NPCs, or 2 NPCs. The first NPC lets you spend your cell points to get your permanent upgrades. The second NPC lets you pick your mutation. And then there's the health fountain that will restore your health and flask.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like other games where it's just you're being whittled down over time in the roguelike until you just collapse.
Yeah, this is a reset between levels. So that's really good. Also, the bosses drop. You get like boss weapons, which is really cool too. Like unique weapons, I guess.
Yeah, some of them, you can even get some like legendary weapons, which are just ridiculously busted. I remember getting, I think it's a link, it was called a light sword or a link sword or something, but it was like a picture, a little portrait, it was gold, and it did ridiculous damage, and it restored my health. It basically broke the run. It was beautiful. It's like the roguelike fucking, the dream is to get that one thing that breaks the run entirely.
Well, that's every roguelike. That's like Isaac or Enter the Gungeon. You get that one weapon or one like item, and you're like, we got this. Unless I fuck up, we got this.
Runs over, boys.
There's definitely a wide disparity in how good the items are. Although all of them are at least useful, I'll give them that.
Useful and usable would be two different words I'd use. Because, like, the oiled sword is useful, but it's not usable unless you've got something fiery, because it's just so slow. And then you get stuff like the electric whip, which was nerfed. I'm pretty sure it was nerfed since early access, because that thing was redonkulous when I played before.
They revamped, like, a lot of shit since the last time I played it,
Which is commendable for an early access roguelike. Usually they'll just, they'll add some new weapons here or there, but they'll never truly, like, change up the formula too much. Especially if it gets picked up by, like, YouTubers or streamers. They don't tend to...
Don't want to take that risk.
Exactly. Granted they added stuff like greed mode to Isaac, but look at Gungeon and stuff like that. There's no...
They don't change the mechanics. Yeah.
Exactly. Just give that little bit of extra... Oh god, I'm going to use a games journalist word. That little bit extra depth and complexity.
Big words.
Even the little message at the start where they thank you for taking part in the early access. I think it only shows up if you bought it in early access.
Yeah, I got that too.
It's like really nice.
Yeah.
I enjoyed one of the menu settings, which is like, hey, what diet are you? You choose if the food is meat or vegetarian or monster.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's amazing. Like it's just the little
like fruit,
little
vegetables,
like
meat, monster, and then there are a few more options.
I love little stuff like that.
Yeah, the core game I find is very solid. The combat is fluid and accurate. It feels good. Jumps, rolls, dodges, they're all accurate.
I also like that they have a kind of a speedrunning thing where you have these doors.
The time attack doors. Not every level, but most levels have a time attack door where if you reach it within a certain time, it's open.
Usually there's some really good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the time limit is really like you might need to skip some shit on the previous level to get there.
It's tight. It is a tight time limit.
You can't explore the previous level. You have to basically just sprint, find the first, entrance to the next zone, then you might make it. One thing I do have a complaint about is the contrast between just the regular monsters and the bosses, because I had this thing where your main weapon was the most useful thing, just running around killing shit. And then I got to the boss, and every boss, it was easier to just cheese it with item spam.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there is that, yeah. They're too fast to fuck with weapons.
You throw out the turret that throws blades and the double crossbow, and you just spam them. You get like the cooldown reduction talent, and you can just spam them to kill the bosses.
That's the problem with the game. Like, there's a different mentality to getting through the level and then playing against the boss. Getting close to them, or even medium range, and hitting them with the weapon is just an inferior way of beating the boss.
The boss fights were varied enough in mechanics, at least.
Yeah, they're definitely varied.
But how to balance normal gameplay versus boss gameplay could definitely have been done better.
I think it's an issue because there's so many weapons.
You have slow maces, you have fast whips, you have fast swords, you have the double swords,
you have
great swords.
You have lances, you have bows, you have crossbows, you have
kunai, you've got bombs, you've got spells. It's ridiculous.
You got daggers, you got ice blast, and then on top of that you got grenades. So all that interaction, I think it's hard to balance. So you need that kind of bullshit, like, okay, the boss goes invulnerable now.
I think they would have been better off if they had cut down on the items and made them more tailored to both experiences. Like, instead of having a billion different weapons, a lot of them fall into similar categories. They could have cut it down to, 2 types of small blades, 2 types of big blades, 2 types of maces, 2 types of bows and kunais. I don't think the range weapons are as much a problem as they are with the melee weapon variety.
The last run that I did before we started this, the bow that I had this little thing where it summoned like tiny little worms to attack the enemy while you were back there. It was really cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh, see, I had that as well. I had that on a kunai because you can roll random effects on any weapon, basically.
Yep.
Like you can roll a random secondary effect, like, oh, it bleeds, oh, it causes fire, oh, it causes maggots to spawn that attack your enemy, it can freeze, it does more damage to frost, fire, or blood, stuff like that.
I think what they're kind of it's stupid comparison, but they remind me of Blizzard, where they don't do anything original, but everything they do is good. So like,
they take something else and then make a polished thing of it.
Yeah, we've seen mutations, we've seen around them, we've seen a lot of weapons, but here the game plays well. It's not clunky. It's very fluid. Mm-hmm. Then you have the unwalking system, which doesn't just cripple you when you die. You don't want to throw the game out when you die.
It's also good because if you're shit, eventually you'll make it.
You'll make it.
You'll brute force your way through the game.
Eventually you'll get so many permanent upgrades. You'll make it, which is fine for a single player like this.
But I guess that's the question when it comes to games like this. Is a game done well but with very few original ideas, is that worth your time? Is that worth your money? When you have stuff like, it's a difficult market to try and sell something like that in when you've got stuff like Salt and Sanctuary and like Death Gambit. You're doing basically the same things, but I know Dead Cells has the roguelike Metroidvania kind of thing, but when you've got stuff doing things differently while still doing them well, it's difficult to, recommend something like that.
Well, Salt and Sanctuary is pretty much 2D Dark Souls.
Yeah, but it's still got the 2D combat. It's got the weapons and stuff like that. Like I said, Dead Cells has the Metroidvania stuff going for it. It's got the roguelike element going for it. But
that's what I said, it checks all the indie boxes, and that might not be a good thing.
Exactly.
All of these can do, if you want to check all these indie boxes, I think you have to excel. Because there's so many indie boxes it's checking.
Yeah.
Crafting system, pixelated, roguelike, Metroidvania.
Yeah, it's like a jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because do I want to play a game with amazing pixel graphics? Oh, geez, I'll just go play Death Gambit. Do I want to play a really good roguelike? I'll play like Isaac or something. Do I want to play something with a cool crafting system? I'll play anything that isn't Minecraft. That's been released in the last 4 years.
Well then, I guess the question remains. Peppy, would you refund it?
No, I don't think so. I think I like it. I know I like it because I've played 25 hours of it, 20 of which are like in early access. So even in early access is a good roguelike. I think it's a great game.
And Brolaire, what is your final verdict on this game? Would you refund it?
Oh, I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't refund it. Like, it's a good game. It's got a solid mechanics. It's a little bit too jack of all trades, master of none. But it's still a fairly decent game.
See, I'll go against the grain with this one and say I would refund it. I don't find enough unique aspects in the game to recommend it. I don't think it stands out enough from the rest. But hey, if you're really into Metroidvania or really into roguelikes, you can still go for it, I guess. So, Brolaire, do you want the honors?
Wait, what?
The honor of doing the outro for us.
Oh, sweet. Hang on. Okay, hang on. Let me put on my American YouTuber voice. Hey guys, make sure to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.
Wow, that was excellent.